Welcome to Cage Talk, my friends. My name is Robin Black. Cage Talk is the interviews in their entirety about Dark Side of the Cage. This is about the rise of Pride, and we have some brilliant martial arts geniuses and people who were there to tell some stories. Enjoy.
Pride Fighting Championships was the greatest thing on the planet. You know, it was like the Super Bowl.
Top US guys competing in Japan.
The people freaking loved it.
And right at the time, it was heavily involved with the Yakuza.
I saw the gang war in Tokyo Dome. Pride was just a circus almost.
They wanted their guys to win, and they wanted you to lose.
Marishta was found dead in a hotel room.
He hung himself.
Do you believe that story?
No, I don't.
Dark Side of the Cage, Wednesdays at 10 on Vice.
Mark Coleman, it is a privilege to chat with you. We've chatted on digital a couple of times, but it's nice to see your face. How are you, legend?
Never better, brother. Thank you. Doing great. Life is good.
You're healthy, you're feeling good, your family's good, real life is good?
Everything's fantastic. My hip, it's been 3.5 months since my last surgery, so I've had 6 surgeries this year, but infection kept coming back, but it's been 3.5 months. So for the first time in over a year, I'm really starting to feel like a man again. Everything's coming together.
That's so good to hear, man. And how long have you been sober now?
Almost 4 years. A couple months will be 4 years.
And how dramatic of a difference was that in your mental life and your emotional life and your body and everything?
Game changer. I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have got sober. I most probably wouldn't be here. And even if I was here, I wouldn't have a life. I changed everything for the better. I have total peace, happiness. I have motivation. I have dedication. I'm grateful. I have discipline. Like, everything is just truly amazing.
That's so beautiful to hear, man. Like, it's so great to hear. Your body, you've had pains and challenges and all kinds of things, but it sounds like this could literally be the best chapter of your life. Is that accurate?
Yeah, this was the best year of my life, even though I dislocated my hip 3 times a little over a year ago. That led to my first hip operation about a year ago. And then about every month and a half, I just wake up one day, and after the day before, the leg was doing great, but then I would wake up and it would just be throbbing again. And I would go back in, and they'd have to take the hip out and put a bigger scar in there, put it back in. But I never complained. I just accepted it, and I just kept grinding and climbing back up the hill. There were a couple times, like the first time I had surgery a year ago, the first surgery, I walked out of the hospital. I'm not going to lie, I was on the pain meds, and I walked out, and basically I hadn't missed a workout in over a year. I was obsessed, and I wasn't going to let a hip operation stop me. So, yeah, I just kept right on exercising, and it swelled up pretty good. But then I couldn't urinate. I couldn't pee for like a month. For about a month, it was like just brutally painful. I was in the bathroom like every half hour, around the clock, and that was the hardest thing. It was the hardest month of my life, physically and mentally. And I've been through some hard months of training, but that month where I couldn't pee, like I literally had to, squeeze my whole body every 30 minutes. I would have to squeeze it and just flex everything and try to get a little bit out, and then crawl back to bed. And it just went on for a month, and then finally it went away. And then now, I tell you what, going to the bathroom is one of my favorite things in the world. And it's paradise.
Oh, man, yeah. The smile on your face when you say that's amazing. Isn't that crazy? It just shows you the power of perspective. All this in a house fire, too. and you're saying that you're the happiest you've been and you're peaceful. And that's a beautiful thing to hear, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the house fire was, it was like I was really lucky because it was just, like 3.5 weeks after one of my surgeries. So luckily it wasn't 2 weeks because, I was really struggling, but 3.5 weeks was just enough that I was able to move and get through that house because, it was still a fresh wound, but I was able to do it. And, God guided me. God guided me through that house fire. It was, one time I got lost in there. I had my mom in my arms and I got lost and I had no clue where I was at. And I thought it was over, but he got me back on the right path. And I couldn't, I really just, it was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows at the same time because I couldn't get my dog out, but I thought I made it out without any trouble. I was coughing real hard. I thought I made it out without any injuries, but it was a lot worse than I thought. When the ambulance got there, they had to life flight me to the hospital and a bunch of tubes down the throat, put me into a coma for a couple of days. But when I woke up 2 days later and I heard about everybody, the fans around the whole world praying for me, it was just overwhelming because my fans have always come to my rescue when I've needed them. And hopefully it's because I've been good to them.
Yeah. Oh, man, you must be the most grateful guy going. But it was the people who love you and loved your work and the fans of who you are, but also your daughter who was connecting with them. Your daughter was sharing all this. You must be just so proud, man. You must wake up more grateful than anybody else.
That's the word. 4 years ago when I was rock bottom, drunk, using drugs, I distanced myself from everybody. You become a complete loner. And I wasn't grateful about anything my whole life. I just was never satisfied, never happy. I always wanted more. I was negative. I wondered what's going to happen next bad. I was worried about what's next going to happen. And then when I got sober, God took away my obsession to drink, but he also gave me the peace and happiness. And the most important word in my book is patience and gratitude, because I have everything. I've always had everything I needed. I just didn't realize it. And in fact, I had my dream life. I wanted to be the baddest man on the planet as a kid. That's what I wanted to be, a great athlete, but I also wanted to be the toughest man in the world. And I did that, but for some reason I wasn't grateful and I wanted more. But I look back now and I've had the most blessed life of any man alive.
Yeah. It's amazing. I spoke to George St. Pierre last week, and we're talking about fighting. We're talking about, martial arts and fighting in cages and rings, but we ended up talking about the secrets to happiness. And he was saying being present in the moment, not in the past too much or the future, being grateful, and controlling what you can control and not worrying about what you can't. And that's kind of what you're saying this today, too.
That's it. You nailed it. You can only control yourself. You have to let go. I had resentments from 30 years ago, angry at people that did something wrong to me. Oh my God, that's the first thing they teach you in rehab is why. You got to let it go. And I've let go of all that stuff. I don't have resentments. There's some that I have to work on getting rid of. Some bad shit's going to happen in your life. You just got to accept it and deal with it. and you can't control an ex-woman. You can't control your ex-baby's mama. You know, you ain't gonna be able to do that. So you got to make the best of it for the kids.
The
And
series that
Pierre, yeah, like he's one of my very, very good friends. We talked many times, and he's proud of my recovery because his father was an addict. So we talk a lot about him and his father. So, you know, he touches my heart. He's one of the most amazing men I've ever got the pleasure of being around. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. It's wild, Mark. You know, the series that this podcast connects to is called Dark Side of the Cage, and people think it's about dark underbelly stuff, but a lot of these conversations I've got to have as a result are very inspiring and very positive and very sort of enriching of living your best life. It's been an amazing thing. Can I ask you about a period of your life?
I want people to know, you know, people, why I ain't afraid of anything. I ain't afraid to show anything. I took my shirt off 2 years ago. And, you know, my body has always been very important to me, but I let myself completely go to hell. But when I got sober, I showed my body. It was disgusting. Nothing worked. And I got laughed at quite a bit by a lot of idiots. But I just basically right away, I get motivated by these guys. Just keep watching. You're all going to fucking disappear. And now there ain't nobody laughing now. And they ain't got worse. People are like, feel bad for me, like, because I'm doing this. I do what I want to do. I did a wheelchair boxing match in Thailand, and people feeling sorry for me. Are you kidding me? That's the funnest thing I did since my last fight. And it was as real as it gets for me. I had to hold back. Because I wanted to hurt the guy bad.
That's my friend John Nutt over in Thailand.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Another wonderful
awesome.
Guy. Wonderful guy.
We bonded. We're going to be doing a lot of things together.
Good. Good.
I'm going to go over there soon and hopefully fight 3 guys in one night in a wheelchair. Maybe
I love it.
Bob Sapp. I'm a little worried about Bob Sapp. That's a big dude, but we'll be all right.
You'll be all right. Well, John's a very dear friend. He quit drinking alcohol too because of some challenges in his life. He's an inspiring guy too, but maybe I'll be over there and commentate because he's family. So,
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if you're over there, you're definitely going to have to use the bink because I'm going to talk to somebody.
Bink. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not going to Thailand with Mark Coleman fighting Bob Sapp in a wheelchair and not getting to say bink. I'm not coming home without it.
Mark, I ain't getting binked.
No. Speaking of Bob Sapp, I want to ask you about an era of your life. It's probably, you know, something you should be very proud of, and I hope you are today, but about the era when you were in Pride. Can you tell me about what it was like as a young man going over to Japan when you went over and started fighting in Pride?
It was so epic, so amazing. You know, I won my first 3 UFCs, and because I won them because I put the bottle down. I was an alcoholic my whole career, but I was able to put the bottle down for certain fights. In the first 3 UFCs, I was making a name for myself, and I grinded. And when I trained, look, I don't think I should have ever lost a fight. If I would have prepared properly, I'm going to be hard to fucking beat by anybody. But after I beat Severn, you know, I got a call from Brazil. They want to fly me to Brazil and pay me to do an appearance. As a wrestler, we're not used to any of this kind of treatment. And I took Randleman over there, hell yeah, but I got to fight Maurice Smith coming up. But I went over there and, you know, I stayed for a month, but I didn't train one time. I just fucking partied. And then when I got back, I had 2 weeks to prepare for Maurice. And basically, you know, I just blew it. It was the dumbest, most humbling thing in my life. It was like really one of the only times, even in wrestling or fighting, that I thought I was going to beat somebody without fucking working hard. So I was just delusional, and I damn near did. I beat the hell out of him for 3 minutes, I knocked him out with a headbutt and woke him up with another one, but then I took a break at 3 minutes and I started feeling my hands seizing up, and then it went 21 minutes. I have no idea how I lasted, heart attack wise, or the leg kicks were just brutally painful. But I got through it. But wow, that was so humbling. And then, well, I didn't. Unfortunately, it wasn't the last time that I did that, because my career was just, it was very obvious when I was training and when I wasn't. It was just very obvious. But no, I'm proud. I accept everything. After the Maurice Smith loss and I blew my knee out, the Pete Williams head kick, then Pedro Hizo, who I felt like I beat him for sure, but they wanted to get rid of me. They were trying to get rid of me for a long time. I wasn't happy with Big John McCarthy's officiating multiple times in multiple fights. He fucking basically just screwed me over. And I'll talk about that some other time. He denies it, but the facts are the facts. But then finally I get cut and picked up by Japan. I do the Chata fight, which everybody knows was a work. And then I had to fight Ricardo Moraes. I had a 6'9", 275-pound Brazilian black belt. I had to beat him to get into the tournament. And that was the biggest fight of my life at that point, because if I lose, I'm done. And then I beat him. And then I had like 9 months preparation for the Grand Prix. I knew I was winning that thing. I mean, nobody else did, but I knew it.
Yeah, amazing, man, amazing. Those moments watching you win those fights are just so incredible. It must have been in full giant stadium arenas in Japan. It must have been so wild. I'm going to ask you more about that, but you mentioned the Takata fight, and it was a work, which is something history knows, you've talked about before. Were you in an environment where you kind of thought, is this pro wrestling or is this fighting, or did they just come to you? Did they imply threats, or was it money? How did that happen with that work?
It was real simple. I had moved out to California, and I was training in pro wrestling a little bit, but I was cut, man. I didn't have a job, so now I'm getting it together, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just in California training. I got nothing going on. I got 2 kids. I'm poor and I'm out of a job, and then finally, like Rick Bassman, who was at Extreme University, was kind of my manager at the time. He told me that Japan's flying in to have a meeting with me. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Well, yeah, we sat in there. They kind of approached it as it was a pro wrestling match. We're going a very stiff pro wrestling match. And well, they told me I had to fight him, and they said $300,000, $300,000, I said, but then it wasn't 300,000, it was 30,000, 300,000 yen, $30,000. And then I'm like, I didn't want to do this for 30,000, because I didn't want to do it, but I'm going to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
And they went up to about 75,000, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And that was my only opportunity to get into the Pride Grand Prix. So I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it.
Your honesty of it actually makes it just fit into a part of the storytelling of the history so well. It's nothing to be proud of or ashamed of. It was a moment in time traveling through the world, and you being honest about it lets us see it as part of history. So it is what it is.
Well, when I got sober, that's the best thing about getting sober, because when you're drinking all the time, you got to lie all the time. And getting sober, I don't have nothing to hide. I got nothing to fear. And one of the best things about getting sober is I don't have to lie. I don't like to lie. So, honesty is one of the greatest gifts in the world.
I don't want to take too much of your time, man. I appreciate you so much. And honestly, it's been a very inspiring chat. I do want to ask you, speaking of inspiring, the moment after you fought Fedor, and I've shared it myself, is on Father's Day, when my daughter was born, you with your daughters talking about Fedor in that moment. Do you remember it vividly? And can you share anything about that moment?
Oh, I remember details, man. It was like yesterday. You know, you know, you know, Pride asked me. You know, they knew that the Japanese fans just knew how much I love my kids, and they asked me if they could bring my kids to the fight and put them in the ring after the fight. And I said, well, yeah, if everything's okay, I said, yeah, if everything's okay, no problem. But they didn't watch the fight. I wish they would have watched the fight. They had him back in a room. I wish they would have watched the fight, but
Yeah.
they drug him in afterwards. They drug him in there and threw him into the cage. And I turned around and holy shit, man. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, what the? And I just had to react as a dad. And it just came from the heart. And I think it was absolutely perfect. You know, everything was perfect. And then we had the time of our life that night. Me and my kids had the time of our life. And then the next morning we had the time of our life. And hey, man, people called me the worst dad in the world. I felt horrible, but really, F you, everybody.
Yeah.
F you, you cowards, you sissies. Look, my daughters learned a valuable lesson that day. Valuable lesson. Life's going to be hard. You're going to get knocked down. Get the hell back up and move on so everybody can rot. You know what I mean? I mean, too
I
bad.
agree with you.
Too bad.
I agree.
There's so many sissies in this world now. This world's falling apart with obesity and laziness. The food is garbage. It's sickening, man. I mean, I can't believe what these people eat. You know, it's just killing them, and there's no discipline. People live to eat. I live to eat too, but I live to put something healthy in my mouth. These people put sugar is just so delicious, but so nasty, and the oil, everything. You know, I'm just happy I'm on this health kick, man. I'm trying to be the best version of myself I can be, and I'm trying to get better. I work out literally every day. I've only missed 2 days. That's because I was in a coma in that fire. In the last 2 years, I've only missed 2 days, and then a day. I get up at 7 and I start the day, and I can do two things at once. Like when I drive my car, it's never just driving. I got a whole routine that I do when I'm in there driving. I exercise my toes, my fingers, my everything. My feet were so damn weak a year ago. You know, I can walk on my toes pretty much now. So I'm obsessed, and I love it. By the time I'm already sore right now, but by the time tonight gets here, I'll have troubles walking to the bed. You know what I mean? And I love it. I'll sleep it off and wake up feeling good.
Sleep like a baby. Well, Mark Coleman, thank you for hanging with me. Let me say, as a father to a daughter, when you are all busted up, but talking to your daughters after daring greatly, and then with the enthusiasm of a father who loves them, getting them excited and letting them know that life is what it is, and that man is a kind man, and we're going to do something fun. To me, that's the kind of father, and maybe I get the hate for saying this too, but that's the kind of father I hope to be to my daughter. And thank you for giving me that example.
Well, you're a smart man. What the hell? That's the kind of father you need to be. So yeah, my kids are my life. I got 3 daughters. I live with my oldest one, and she's a lot like I was, and it's scary.
Well, good luck with that, man. I'm going to stay in touch with you. I value you and appreciate you greatly, and thank you for giving me your time and your insight. Lots of love to you and your family, my friend. I'm glad I got you on. We were talking about it earlier, and I'm like, Don Fry definitely knows how to use a chainsaw and a machine gun, but I'm not sure if he knows how to use a phone. But you know what? Here we are. We're doing good.
No, you give me the other two. I'd get something done with those.
I believe it. I believe it. I really appreciate you coming in, man. And also thank you for being part of the Pride episode. I know you haven't seen it yet. When we're talking, it hasn't aired yet, but it's a beautiful story, and your story is a big part of it. So thank you for letting my team and our team come in and chat with you about Pride.
Well, thanks for involving me. I appreciate it. Nice.
It's a wonderful story. It's two-part story. When you first were getting on a plane to fly to Japan to fight people in a ring in front of that many people, what were you thinking back then?
I was just worried about the competition. I wasn't worried about the money or the crowd or anything like that. I just wanted to be the top competitor. I wanted to win the fight. I wanted to put on a great fight and win the fight.
And those two things are very different, right? And one of the reasons the Japanese loved you so much is you didn't just win, but you did put on a great fight. You were a hero. They're looking for heroism and overcoming obstacles. Did you feel that connection to the Japanese? Could you tell how much they loved you?
Oh yeah, they always treated me great, and if there's any place else in the world I'd live besides the U.S. of A, it'd be Japan. Just the whole island nation is just it's a spiritual country, and the people are just friendly and they're respectful, and they treat you with respect and love and kindness. Courtesy.
And a big American with a cowboy hat and a mustache might seem on the outside to not have anything in common with these people in Japan, and yet you connected with them and they connected with you like crazy.
Yeah, it was neat, because they respected me and I respected them, and it showed from both sides.
In the Dark Side of the Cage and the telling of the Pride story, among the many things, you and Akiyama is a big part of that story. That's considered one of the great fights ever. What did you think going into that fight? First of all, did you know Akiyama? What did you have in mind for what that fight might look like and how it might unfold at the time?